Do you look before you leap into a new experience? Today's episode shows four fellas leaping into a whole lot of chaos as they take on the challenge of playing their first run through of Goblin Quest the RPG. This episode will be slightly longer than our normal CTG episodes, and be prepared to feel the blunt force trauma of Clint's best efforts to edit the audio of four grown, noisy men. Welcome to Claim to Game, the podcast helping busy people master tabletop role-playing games, one game at a time. I'm Clint.scheirer. I've been an educator for over 12 years and have helped gamers of all levels quickly grasp tabletop RPGs so they can enjoy playing them to the fullest. Stay tuned so you can make your claim to game. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 10, season 1 of Claim to Game, a predominantly educational fun podcast in which I am daring to coin the word fungicational. It's kind of like if we were able to meet President Abraham Lincoln, or should I say Babraham Lincoln, and talk to him about his journey to the presidency. Then we would get some wrestling tips from him firsthand, the next heavyweight champion of the world we may be. But speaking of champs, I have three individuals who's here with me tonight to finally play this darn game that if you've been listening to all the episodes previously, we've been learning how to play. It's Goblin Quest the RPG, and these fine individuals are going to use the rules and the mechanics and the antics that we've been learning from beginning to end in an actual live game. But before jumping in, you want to know and learn a little bit about them, figure out what all this is about. So I'm going to start with Mr. Ryan Xavier Halter. He's like, whatever. Lame. I'm going to start with Mr. Ryan Halter, and I want you to share the first thing that comes into your mind when I say the word goblin.
Like Spider-Man, like Hobgoblin or Green Goblin, like on that little like thing that he floats around and he's got the pumpkin bombs. Yeah, those guys were awesome. I love those guys.
When Tobey Maguire was the Spider-Man.
I try to forget every day. Thanks for bringing it back. You did a really good job. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I saw a really cool meme the other day where it was talking about how from the 2000s it was Tobey Maguire. From the 2010s it was somebody else. Like, you guys probably know who it is. Robert's like saying his name in his mind. Thank you. And then in the 2020s, it's this other dude that was
Tom
in all
Holland.
the Avengers.
Is it Holland?
Thank you.
Did I say it? Did I nail it? Wow. Look at me. I'm trendy. I know things.
But then there was a picture of Hugh Jackman, and it said Wolverine from 2000 to 2024.
It's tough to be that good looking. I'm just telling you. It's tough.
Good looking and cooking. And speaking of that, Jonathan, you are up next. And my question to you, sir, is Jonathan, when I say the word goblin, you can't use Green Goblin, even if that was your back pocket answer. What comes to mind?
Oh, I'm all about the high fantasy goblins, the bugs and the dirt and the grossness and the chaos, the pure chaos, and collecting shiny things. So I've long considered myself a bit of a dice goblin. I have close to 200 sets of dice that I use for various characters that I play as, and I love collecting them, and I always want to eat them.
Wait, you want to eat the bugs or the goblins?
No, well, both. The dice. But yes, to all three.
All right. And Jonathan's my Pathfinder 2E buddy. We love to talk a little bit about Pathfinder from Paizo. Plenty of goblin killing in there. This is a little bit of a different game, as we've talked about. It's not quite as crunchy as Pathfinder 2E. This is going to be more of a one and done. So Robert Caesar, yes. I actually mentioned you in a previous episode. I was talking about how in Fantasy Flight's Star Wars RPG, when you roll dice, a lot of dice cancel each other out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what determines your story. And there's going to be a little bit of that today, but every dice counts. You'll learn about that with the rules. Robert, the question I wanted to ask, what comes to mind when I say the word goblin?
My head getting sliced right off. The picture of Aragorn in Lord of the Rings just slicing the head right off a goblin is the first thing I think of.
Yeah, well, that is probably the most heroic goblin to stand off against Aragorn, the High King of both Gondor and the Northern Kingdom, the Lost Kingdom of the Dunedain. Very cool. So now you guys know everything there is to know about these three people. It's really the essence, the core of their being, what they think of when they hear the word goblin. But besides all that, we're we're going to play a game. And I will tell you, none of them have played this game before. None of these three dudes have played. Jonathan did look at the PDF and read through the rules because that's just the kind of dude that Jonathan is. Robert also read through the rules. So I guess, how do you feel about that?
I know nothing. I literally printed these pages off exactly 6 minutes ago. So I'm ready to play.
Perfect. That's what we want. We have all varying styles of understanding of this game. So here's what's going to go on. I am going to take you guys through 3 parts. The first, we're going to talk about character creation. The second, we're going to go into the overall, what are our goblins doing? Like, what are they doing in this made-up world with made-up things? And what is the quest that they are trying to go on? And what is their goal? We're going to create that together through some dice rolling, through some cool old imagination play. Get your mind out of the gutter, Ryan. And then we're going to play the game, okay? The game, once we have everything set up, we will easily be able to play this game and have lots of fun and lots of goofs. So to begin, you might be like, I don't even know where this is happening. And we're going to read straight out of Goblin Quest the RPG, written by Grant Howitt. We're going to talk about the Great Battle Camp. The Great Battle Camp is where all of this is taking place. So, Goblin Quest. A new day dawns on the Great Battle Camp. The orcs march in the square outside their barracks. The hobgoblins file and cross-reference in their gray wards. The bugbears plot and scheme in the Dun Inn. Above it all, the black tower of the wizards stands proud, holding the wicked sorcerer generals that command the army to the war. And underfoot, in the dank caverns underneath the world, in the green pits, spawn the goblins. The goblins are bred for war, for cannon fodder, for hopeless attacks, and for death. And you, all of my friends, are goblins. You have a week to live, and you are going to make your mark on the world. You are going to undertake a goblin quest. This is where there'd be like a huge applause, and everybody would be like, yeah, you're so great. All right, I had you guys all print out character sheets prior to us starting. I have my character sheet here, and I do a little bit of stapling. So I like to have a side-by-side character sheet. Some people might have printed off front and back. Ryan, 6 minutes ago, probably did a front or back action, maybe. That's right, front and back, baby. And the cool thing is this book provides everything we need. So it provides roll tables on different pages. I'm going to make that super easy so you don't have to flip through all the pages tonight. We're going to share our screen and we're going to go through the process of playing this game. All right, so how to play, creating your characters. Stage number 1, we need to create your clutches. And your goblin clutch is your family name. So it's the name that your whole 5 goblins that you have on your character sheet are going to be known for. And you can either use this name to kind of give a hint at what your goblins are good for, or it could be completely something different. So right now we have examples of first names and character creations, and the surnames are going to be what your clutch's name is going to be. Back in the episode where I did this, I ended up getting the Scritch Scratches. And I was able to deduce an expertise, something my goblins were good at. Some of you guys might have surnames already. Some of you guys do not. So I'm going to start with Jonathan, just in case, Jonathan, you've already rolled out your names. And for those of you guys that don't have it, follow your heart. Robert, if you see something up on the screen that you want your goblins to be known as, like their family name, their gang name, maybe you even have one in your head. Ryan, maybe you have one in your head that you want your goblins to be known for. What is their family name? What are they known for doing? But I'll let you go, Jonathan. What do you think?
Yeah, so I went ahead, I did front and back, but I did fill out my sheet. I drew my little goblins, and so I have picked the name Vittles for my clutch.
Vittles, as in like
Vittles.
Food?
As in like food.
Vittles.
Yep, you'll see that come through as we explain the rest step by step. It'll all come together.
All right. Next up, Robert, you may have a choice in front of you that you like, or you may have made one up. What are your guys' names?
Oh, I like the Red Eye surname.
Oh, that makes me think more Lord of the Rings, the Eye of Sauron. All right, Halter, what about you?
These boys are definitely going to be called the Keg Killers.
Lovely. I can't imagine what they do, but we'll make some assumptions. Right. And here's the cool thing. I get to play with you guys. That's one of the great things about Goblin Quest is that you don't just have to have one person as the GM. I'm going to take a facilitator role tonight, so I'm going to help with rules and all that jazz. Looking at what is here, I think the best thing for me to do would be the Black Pit. since we have the red eye, I feel like we also have to have a rival gang with a similar colorific name, the Black Pits. We're going to make it plural. All right. Done. You've done number 1 of 7 steps with goblin creation. Way to go, guys. Next, you get to write down your family quirk. So this is located on your sheet. It's not where your expertise is. We'll get back to expertise in a second, but the family quirk is something that's unique about your set of goblins. I was playing this with my 7-year-old son. He's now 7. He was 6 when he was playing, and all of his goblins only had 1 leg, and they had peg legs like pirates.
So my clutch's quirk is that every goblin in the Vittles clutch has more than the normal number of sharp teeth in their mouth. So they all have extra teeth, and their teeth are really sharp.
Very cool. All the better to eat you with, my dear.
That's right.
Very good. What about you, Robert?
They like
some
lying.
quirks down here.
Lying.
Ooh. Like not telling the truth, lying?
Yeah.
All right.
They never tell the truth. They always lie.
Fibbers. I'm looking up here, and I really like rolling, so I'm going to roll 2 of my D6s that I have in front of me. And we have the number 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are delicious smelling. My goblins smell so dang good that everybody wants to eat them. Okie dokie. Ryan, what's your quirk?
I think that the keg killers are going to be able to always win at drinking contests.
That's a great quirk. You wouldn't imagine keg killers being able to win.
No matter what, they challenge and they win every time.
They're competent keg killers.
They're competent keg killers.
So next we got, I'm going to go back to the expertise. So your quirk is that they are able to win all the time. You each have a clutch honorific, which is their name, their surname. For the part about expertise, this is things that they could do. It could be a profession. It could be something that they do really well. I'm going to take the first hit here. Robert already has that they don't tell the truth. So that's like kind of double duty there. It's like a quirk and their expertise. So, I mean, if you wanted, you could mix match, or you could just leave it right as is. Mine are going to be really good at hiding. Got to be when you're so delicious from all those things that want to eat you. What about you, Jonathan?
I have that the Vittles are extra good at chewing and biting. So they'll bite and they'll just latch on.
They're like leeches.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Robert, Halter, I'm going to let you guys decide who goes next.
Isn't it obvious?
Yeah.
Making loud noises. They're going to be belligerent.
There you go.
I rolled creating distractions. So that's what I'm going to use.
Oh, man. You can create distractions and I can go hide so I don't get eaten. And if Ryan's can be the ones that make the loud noises and make the distractions, so you can use all of his goblins as tools. Very good. All right. So next, a family dream. And I love this because it's like your goal. It's your purpose. It's like your internal family purpose that drives you, your motivation. In a lot of games, this is super important if you want to have any sort of game of depth, but this is not a game of depth. So your purpose could be something really important, or it could be something really silly. But their family dream, what do they want to do when they grow up? Let that question simmer with the folks while Jonathan gives his written down answer.
I'm sure this comes as a huge surprise, but the dream of the Vittles clan is to be gourmands. They want to be renowned for their reviews of the different things that they eat or bite.
Nice. They're like the foodies of the Great
That's
Battle
right.
Camp. Okay. Too bad there's not like a blog or a TikTok that they can get started there in the the medieval Great Battle Camp setting. How about you, Robert?
Make friends with animals. That's what I'm taking. That's what I rolled. I rolled 4.
Perfect.
My guys want to be the best smelling warriors.
All right, and I got a...
A diplomat.
All right, that's going to work well.
Perfect.
That's right up your alley, Ryan. You love playing the diplomats.
Drunken folks who make loud noises and are belligerent, and they're going to be diplomats.
And then the next is our ancestral heirloom. So what is your clutch's ancestral heirloom, which may be, or likely will not be, of use during the quest to achieve their goal? The examples in the actual book are very like, it's a piece of trash. that they're pretending to be very important. They only live a week, too. Go ahead, Ryan.
I love the poo ball in a sock of destiny. That's fantastic. I don't know if I want that one yet. Don't come at me. Give me just a second. If anybody else wants to contribute, this is your time.
I'm going to get some Vorpal nail scissors if I'm a warrior.
I have the crossbow of occasional function.
From D&D, that makes me think of like wild magic, where maybe it'll work or maybe it won't.
All right, I'm totally doing the pool ball and the sock of destiny.
All right.
I went a bit off script and I made my own. And like I mentioned before, it's the chewy rat on a rope.
Ooh.
And they can chew on it, but they can never eat it. So it keeps them busy when they get bored.
It's lovely. So the one thing that you'll find in this game is that there could definitely be rats on ropes. You can make up whatever you want. In D&D, you would have to actually find a real item. You can't just make up items, which is so cool. All right, you guys have taken 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 3 more steps. We got to name our goblins and give them a defining feature that makes them different than any of the other goblins. So this could be names you have in your head. It could be names up here on the screen. You could roll for it. I know Robert is a roller. What's the guy's name from Home Alone? Marv and... Do you know the other criminal's name? Marv and...
Marv's the only one I remember.
Harry.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. You guys are all going to have to take a picture of your character sheet after this and send it to me too. Don't crumple it up and throw it away forever. Go ahead, Ryan. What are your characters' names?
Malt, hops, yeast, water, and twigs.
Go ahead, Jonathan, and then Robert, you'll go next.
Gotcha. So my characters are Yunk, Tooth, Gob, Poke, and Pip.
Wait, I got ankle, killy, red, blue, and black.
I have Jimbo, Marv, Harry, Kevin, and Chesterton. Just felt appropriate for the last one.
Sure.
All right. Now, defining features. I didn't write any of those yet, but this is something that's going to make them a little bit different than the other goblins. So I'll give you guys some time to do that if you haven't already. Jonathan's going to be twiddling his thumbs.
I have, and I factored it into the drawings that I did for each of them.
We've got my goblin hops is going to be very mellow. Malt is going to be a tweaker. Yeast is silent, except he yips all the time. Water is smart, but nobody listens, and Twigs is dumb as shit.
So I can go next. Yunk is high-waisted, so there's him with his high-waisted pants. And then Tooth has no pants. And then Gob has a mohawk.
Nice.
And Poke only has one eye. And then Pip has his eyes are different sizes.
It's a sad ailment to have.
Right.
Ankle, he wears an ankle brace. Killy has blonde hair. Blue has blue eyes. Black has 2 black eyes, like someone punched him in the face. And then red has some rosy cheeks.
I'm last. So Jimbo, his face is only a nose. Like he has no eyes. He has no eyebrows. Like he has no other. It's just one big nose. Marv has a very sweaty headband that he found next to the goblin garbage pits. Harry is hairy. Kevin has some strange piercings, which I don't think would be too odd for Kevin McAllister, played by Macaulay Culkin. He probably has some strange piercings. And then Chesterton. He is covered in stolen feathers. So next, we've created our characters. Now we need to create our quest. And I've helped out here by creating a quest log. The quest log starts with writing the goal of the goblins. There are tons of roll tables in this book, made by makers of many different games, some that are very well known, like Robin D. Laws. His book was talking about being a good GM. Rob Heinsoe, who helped with the 4th edition of Dungeons and Dragons and also 13th Age. So a lot of really big names in here. So I guess we get to decide, do we want to come up with our own thing, or do we want to roll on the table?
Roll.
Let's roll.
Robert's already ready to roll. So here's what's going to happen. Robert, I want you to roll a 1d6. It's going to determine which table.
1.
All right, we're going to Robin D. Law's Adventure Ideas. This is on page 22 of the Goblin Quest RPG book. Then we're going to have Ryan. I need you to roll. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1d10 if you have the ability to do so.
Naturally. 5.
All right, sir. Here is our adventure for tonight, and we can change it if we want.
This is our quest.
This is our quest out of the vanilla version.
We're on a quest.
Yeah, there you go. Poison mice. You just found a big pile of dead mice left behind by a human rat catcher. Dead mice is tasty, but when you ate these, you puked real bad. The human killed them with poison. Good thing you didn't eat too many. Maybe you can sell them to the big mean hobgoblins in the neighboring gully and get away before they eat the mice and start puking their own guts out or dying.
Could not have planned it better myself.
Let me just give you guys the map. So this is the map that I created when we play tested this. It's just a picture. I have since got it laminated, and it's really cool. So
Nice.
I pop this bad boy whenever I want to play in person, preferably. Each figure on the map is showing where these creatures are located within the Great Battle Camp. The Forces of Darkness is what they're a part of. So the goblins are right here in the middle of the goblin mud pits. You then have the Grey Ward. That's where the hobgoblins are. They're known for being like bookish, really like recorders of events and also like math-y stuff, kind of like accountants.
These
You have
nerds.
Nerds. You have your wizards. They control everything, but they're weird because their magic has a cost and they start getting deformed. They can also fly. That's kind of cool. Done in, this is where the bugbears, who are like your roguish brawlers, beaters, they just kind of, they're ruffians, they're smugglers. They do a lot of under the table kind of transactions. And then you have your orcs, and they are just your muscle. Not very smart, but they are your muscle. And that's really all the main players. Now, anybody can live here. Just because it's not here on the map doesn't mean that it can't exist, because it's our story. It's our game. We're going to keep our goal really simple. Sell our poisoned dead rats.
Mice.
Oh, dead mice.
And get away before they start figuring it out.
And catch us.
Excellent.
Cool. Now, the rest of this is really self-explanatory. What I think I love about it is it has a 3-act structure, which has been around for millennia, forever. And you have different tasks, right? So the first task you can think of as like part 1. Task 2 is part 2. And task 3 is part 3 of this story that we're creating. 1, 2, and 3 are all parts of the first act that needs to happen in order for us to move on to the second one. Now, our goblins may all die in the interim, but the idea is that we need to come up with what are 3 things that need to happen in order to get the materials needed to sell our dead poison mice to the hobgoblins. So this is all about like, what do we need to get?
We need a wheelbarrow.
Because we need to transport the mice.
Now, the difficulty rating, this really confused me when I first started out. That is the number of victories that we need to move on to the next stage. I'm going to go over really quick. You guys may have seen it in the how to play, like how do you get victories? And each dice acts on its own. So you're going to be able to say what you're doing, which will allow you to roll either less or more dice. You always roll at least 1 dice. But the more victories we get and check off the box, then we can move on to the next thing. After we get the wheelbarrow, what do we got to do? What else do we need?
We need to actually move the wheelbarrow with the mice too.
We need to figure out how to get to the hobgoblins.
Yeah, with the wheelbarrow.
Like, do these goblins have a pretty good sense of direction, or are they just like stupid mud pit goblins?
They are stupid mud pit goblins. They were born last week. Think if you were born last week, what would you know?
Got it. We need to figure out how to get to the hobgoblins.
The more precise thing, right, is we're locating a specific hobgoblin to buy this off of us.
Ooh. What is his name, Jonathan?
That's a good question. I'm going to go with Charles.
It's going to be Charles Riviera.
Perfect.
The third.
Okay, that makes sense.
Arch Hobgoblin Recorder. So that's also a difficulty rating of 3. And by the way, the reason these numbers are 3 is that in Task 1, it is the number of players playing minus 1. So since there are 4 of us, minus 1, each task has a difficulty rating of 3, except for Stage 3. Now, every good story has a setback, a conflict, something that somebody's trying to overcome. And this is the stage that was rolled prior to us playing. So I texted all of you, and each one of you guys gave me 3 dice. Stage 1 is brought to you by Ryan Halter.
Oh, boy.
Task 1 is brought to you by Ryan Halter. The Misfortune. The Misfortune happens in Stage 3. I have written down what the misfortune is, and I will read it before the person who decides to act first rolls in that stage. But you have to tell me what you're doing first, then I read the misfortune that Ryan rolled. And then you roll and we see what happens.
So do we need to figure out Stage 3, or you are going to just tell us what the misfortune is?
Nope, we need to figure out Stage.
I was going to say we need to get him to take a bite of one of these mice.
Would that be the actual execution of the plan, though?
Well, we want to get away, too, right?
So I think task 1 is we get the mice to him. We get the mice all together. We get to him, and then we convince him to buy the mice.
Yeah, I think convincing him to buy the mice
we gotta offload it without anything going wrong, and then task 3 we gotta get out of dodge. Right. So task 2 we're deploying. So he's agreed to buy them. Then we gotta offload them without anything going wrong. Right. So whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Deliver them to other hobgoblins in order to eat. Get them to distribute them to all of the hobgoblins living there.
Right.
Yeah.
Without any other goblins eating them. They're specifically for the hobgoblins.
Yep.
Deliver and distribute the dead poisoned mice to all the other hobgoblins, and they live in the gray wards.
Yep. Stage 2 might be, and this looks like it's a difficulty one, and this might be the difficult piece. Keep any of them from eating them until we leave.
Right.
Yep.
Keep any of them from eating them until we leave. Yeah, that might be part of the difficulty, and then there's going to be something else that meshes.
There's a misfortune that's there too, yeah.
Task 2 is brought to you by Jonathan Iceman, who rolled a very iconic situation. I'll just say no more.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
All right. Stage 3.
Get paid.
Get that cheese.
Yeah.
Actual execution of the plan.
So this is where we gotta find somewhere to stash the wagon.
Yep. Find our way back to the swamp.
Yeah, the goblin pits.
All right, this is another transportation.
I know,
stage.
but I think that this is great. You got to do it.
What I'd really love, and I was thinking of a Pavlovian dog. You know how you train them, you ring the bell, and then they salivate? If there was some way that we could initiate the eating of the mice.
Ooh.
I like that.
So hang on, if I may, I would suggest I'm with you, Clint. Finding our way back. How about this instead? Convince someone to get us back instead of finding our way.
Your diplomat skills might
there you go.
play in.
And then I would actually make that. Oh yeah, and then stage 3 is ring the dinner bell as we leave.
Yep.
You just went through multiple steps of creating a Goblin Quest way quicker than it would have been if we had read it all out loud. The final part before actually playing is the re-roll rule. And I just took the one that I think made the most sense for the way that we're playing tonight. There's multiple different ones that would work really well if we were physically at a table, but we're not. So the way that you get to re-roll is every one of your goblins has a lucky ear, and it's the left one. And each of them gets to use their lucky ear once before they die. That allows you to re-roll all of your dice in your hand, but that you rolled that you didn't like the result of, but you have to take it. You can't say, oh, I didn't like that, I'll go back with what I had. You have to take whatever it is that you re-roll, but you get to do that once per goblin. So the last thing before we play is, how do you do things here? So you're going to tell us what you need to do. Like, what are you trying to do? You're going to roll them, and you will assess each one of these dice individually. So how do you decide how many dice? You always get one, but then you have to convince everybody why you think, based on your defining characteristics, you get to roll another dice. So, for example, if Ryan was playing one of his people and they're diplomats, and you were trying to convince somebody to go back, you could say, all right, well, I get one dice, but, because we are diplomats, I'm going to invoke my ability to convince people, so that gives me another dice.
And because you're very distractible, I'm going to do it by being extremely loud and belligerent.
So you just, as many as you can pop in there. Your ancestral heirloom. Now, the problem with this is that based on what happens, if you roll a 1 or a 2, your goblin is injured. And so if you'll notice that next to your goblin's little picture, there's HP boxes. Your goblin only has 2 hits, and then it's toast.
Nice.
So if you roll a lot of dice, you could get a lot of victories. You could also blow through your goblins really fast.
Oh, okay. So for every single... So I get 3 dice. I roll 3 2s. Thump, thump, thump. I mean, that's 3 hits right there, right?
Yep, but the thing is, goblin hits do not carry over to your next goblin.
Okay.
But your other goblin's there's no way
Done.
that
Got
goblin's
it.
coming back.
That makes sense.
Now, the something bad, something good. This is where I was thinking of Robert with Fantasy Flight Games of the canceling out. So it's like a 1-to-2 ratio. If you have one good thing, like let's say you had a dice that you rolled and you had a 4, right? So something good happens and you get to describe how that happens narratively. Then you also have a dice that has something bad, automatically is something good. So one bad thing and one good thing, they give you the benefit of the doubt, and you get to go with the good thing that happens. You have 2 bad things, that trumps your one good thing, and it's now a bad thing that happens. But you can never have more than bad thing or a good thing.
Well, let's say I roll a 1, a 3, and a 6. Does that mean I get a hit point, something bad happens, and a victory?
Yes.
I'm picking this up. This is pretty neat. I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm real smart. This game is right up my alley. You were right, Clint. This sucker's going to be easy to play.
Now, there are some extenuating circumstances. If you roll a 7 or a negative, it's really a 0, I think is how it would be. How does that happen, right? So I roll, my dice cancel out, and I have a good thing that happens. I have a victory, but I also take a hit. My good thing doesn't happen to me. It happens to the next person who plays. So then on all of their dice rolls, every single one of their dice, they get a +1 to whatever they rolled on each one of those dice when they're calculating the result. If it was a bad thing, the next person who plays gets a -1 to every one of their dice rolls.
So, I mean, realistically, what you're saying is this. If you get a -1 and I roll a 1 or a 2, that's just instant death.
But
How
it can't
wonderful.
carry over to your next goblin.
Thank goodness.
And if it's a 7, then you get 2 victories. So if you had a good thing happen to you're the next person that plays, you get a +1, you roll 6s. For every 6, you're getting 2. So you could really rack them up. If you got 4 victories, that victory doesn't go over to stage 1 of the next task.
The carrier of the good and the carrier of the bad doesn't carry over.
Got it.
I told you, I'm really dumb, but this stuff is coming together.
Now, the last thing that we need before we play is just to remember how you get to take your turn. There aren't turns. You take a turn, but it's like normally as we were playing, we would have what's called an action token. And the action token just means that once you've turned it in, you can't play again until the next round. The next round would be everybody has a turn, then round 2 starts. And it doesn't really matter how many rounds we go. It's just making sure everybody Everybody gets a chance before the next time they play.
I think we could keep track pretty easily with just 4 of us, who's gone and who hasn't, and then just go back to the top of the round. And, because I don't want to hinder anybody, that if there's opportunity for Jonathan to finish a round and then say, it'd be really good for me to go first the second round, I don't want to have to make him wait till his 4th move, if that just makes sense for us.
I am not going to be the one to go first, but I will set the stage. A foggy haze is over the great battle camp. It's morning time, and our little goblin buggers are stretching out of their little muddy beds. One of them smells super delicious. His name's Jimbo. All the other goblins want to take a little bite. Those goblins with all the teeth want to take and never let go. It's all of a sudden everybody wakes up with a jar because they hear those really loud keg breakers, cake killers making noise, being raucous, diplomatically, of course. They know that people have feelings. That's where we begin. We all just kind of congregate around the trash fires, and we decide to eat the mice that were left off that we were able to pinch. And we start puking horribly. And we get the idea in our minds that we could pass these dirty, rotten, poisoned mice off to those stupid hobgoblins in their books. Floor is open.
Yeah, those stupid hobgoblins are always thinking of themselves. We know more than you guys. But maybe we knows more than they knows if we could sell these here mices. But how do we get them to where we're going?
Oi, I think we need a wheelbarrow.
Oh, I think I can build one.
Build one out of what?
Couldn't build a wheelbarrow. You don't even know what a wheel looks like.
Oh, that's a good one, you cake killer.
I think I saw a wheelbarrow by the church.
The church? Are you talking about the church of Bog Al Quirk?
Yeah, that one.
I hate waking up and looking at that stupid turnip.
I'm afraid of going to that there church. I mean, I'm all about getting things done, but do we really want to go look over there at that stupid turnip?
Ain't scared. We can make it over there.
Does anybody want to try to do something?
I'm going to have my guys just bolt for the turnip church and make their way over there and do a full search of the place to see what they can find. And since they're taking the lead, of course, they're being very diplomatic in this, obviously. It's a diplomatic piece to be taking charge. They've already outdrank everybody this morning. They're completely hammered drunk while they're doing it. So I think I deserve 3 dice for that. All right, here's the roll. Ready and go. I got a 1 and 2 5s. We are going to have hops. No, Malt is definitely taking the way on that. He's the tweaker, and he's going to get the hit point. So Tweaker's just going to just run out, and he's gonna run his way over there, and as he gets there, he's all 5 of my guys start swirling around, just running around like idiots, and Malt is gonna take a trip and fall into a root cellar down the bunch of stairs, and he's gonna be like, "There's a wheelbarrow down here." That's one of 2 victories. We made it there, and we found the wheelbarrow. Somebody's got to drag that sucker out.
That's 2 victories.
2 victories, yep. So we just need 1 more for somebody to get that wheelbarrow out.
So Ryan, you can totally play all of your goblins at the same time if you want. You play each goblin one at a time, but then sequentially you move on. So it's almost like they have a hive mind within your clutch.
Okay.
And then once one dies, the other one hops right in and knows exactly what was happening with the other goblin.
All right. So all 5 of them did that, and then from here on in, this is going to be the hive mind. Thank you.
My guys can go down and help him get the wheelbarrow. Ankle's taking charge. He's he limps because he hurt an ankle, because that's why he got ankle brace. So he's limping as he's telling everybody what to do. And he's trying to get a donkey to help a donkey, so they can tie a rope to a donkey and then tie a rope down there to grab the wheelbarrow.
Is there any things that's going to help you get more than 1 dice?
I'm friends with animals, so that's why I'm trying to incorporate a donkey. 1 and a 3.
Uh-oh.
All right. So how does that play
How's that
out?
go down, Robert? This is going to be good.
Ankle tries talking to they try talking to the donkey, trying to get it to help, but instead the donkey just kicks Ankle right in his other ankle.
Now this means something bad is going to happen to the next player. I'm going to take one for the team, Jonathan.
Okay.
All right, so Jimbo. This is the goblin that only has one nose. Because he only has one nose and he smells so delicious, he just smells himself all day long and just gets so hungry. But when he was talking at the pits and then he heard, because he doesn't have any eyes, he just had to listen. He was listening to the bolting. He listened to the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. He heard the donkey kick over by the church. Jimbo decided that he was going to get into the mix, and he's a warrior. He's bold. And so he took out his vorpal scissors, and he's just like, we don't need no damn donkey. I'm going to gut it, and then I'm going to use its innards to spin around the wheelbarrow and pull it out. So I got some vorpal scissors. I got my warrior. I smell delicious while I'm doing it. I'm going to take some 3 dice, add it on to my 1. So we're going to do 4 here. All right. I got a 1 and a 2. This is the end of old Jimbo.
Jimbo was dead on the first one because you already had the setback.
That's right. Yeah, so these are all dead. These are like dead. But then I have a 5. Or no, I have a 6, which turns into a 5, so 1 success. So we're going to move on to the next stage. But then I also have a 4 that now turns into a 3. So, sorry, Jonathan, you're going to get something bad happen to you.
It's all right.
So I run in, and it's a victory, right? So I am able to gut the donkey. I just stick the vorpal scissors like in its jugular and just guts just fall out, and I start tying it around, but then they get tied around my neck, and I fall down the stairs, and I just...
That was ghastly. That was nice.
Excellent.
That was a celebrity deathmatch style death right there.
Wow. I love it.
An action token left, and that goes to Jonathan.
Okay. But I believe that we're on to our next stage, right?
That's right.
So then Yunk is all excited, right? Because we have a rope made of donkey innards, and we've got our wagon out. So he's going to bite onto the rope and drag the wagon all the way to the Grey Wards so that we can go look for Charles Riviera III. So I think that that's going to come into my expertise, good at chewing or biting. I'm going to roll 2 dice on this, and I've got a -1, right?
That's right.
Okay. I've got a 4 and a 2, so that is a 3 and a 1. So he bites on, and the wagon is way heavier than he thought, and he just, bunch of teeth come out, and there's just teeth all over, the goblin teeth all over the ground.
Oh.
And he, like, screams. That's going to kind of draw a little bit of attention to us, so the next person to go has a -1.
Our boy Tweak jumps up, and he grabs his pool ball and a sock of destiny. He's sort of swirling it over his head like Thor with swirl Mjolnir over his head, and he starts to get a little bit of lift. And then he just starts shouting out obscenities to the hobgoblins over by the castle. He's, of course, carrying the wheelbarrow behind him. They're just on a donkey rope, right? And so he's doing this, and he's yelling obscenities and calling out people, telling them he can outdrink them. It's a real beautiful picture here. So I think that's 4 dice. You guys can pull me back on anything if you'd like. I have a -1 on all of these. So here we go.
You have a sore throat, which makes it hard to yell obscenities.
Yeah. We have a 6, which becomes a 5, and is a victory. A 5, which becomes a 4, which is a +1 for our next person. And 2 2s, which both become 1s, and Tweaker already had 1 hit anyway, so that poor bastard's dead.
So we have 1. Am I correct in saying that we have 1 victory here?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, 3 more action tokens. Who's going to go?
Would you like to describe how Tweak dies?
Yeah, I was about to ask how to tweak that.
Tweak is swirling around, and one of the hobgoblins below is like, "You stupid bastards, you could not drink me if you tried." To which immediately, like, Tweak just, like, grabs the pool ball in the sock, stops spinning, falls to his death, just crushed, like, every bone in his body. But he kills the hobgoblin, too, so it's a win.
Perfect.
What do we accomplish in that?
And in accomplishing it, this hobgoblin dies, and somebody goes, "Hey, that's the royal assistant to the arch hobgoblin Charles Riviera III. His door's just over there. He's gonna be so pissed. This is the 5th one this week that's died on him. Is that a good accomplishment, Robert? Did we accomplish something there?
Yeah.
That was great.
We don't have the mice in the wheelbarrow yet, correct?
We got a wheelbarrow.
But we don't have the mice.
We don't really have a stage where that's included. So, I mean, we could say that they're already in there, or we could include this in as we're locating Charles. It's up to you.
Okay. I'm going to lie to the crowd and tell them, hey, we have some great food to give to the Archduke. And if you can help us carry this wheelbarrow over to his place, we'll cut you into some of the profits.
Now, some of the lore, is this a crowd of hobgoblins?
Yeah.
So some of the lore of hobgoblins is they are deathly embarrassed of their feet. Nobody has ever seen a hobgoblin's feet. So they have these really long gray robes, and they're shuffling along. You're just amazed how you can't even catch a toenail as they're trying to obediently assist you.
So I'm trying to convince them. So I'm getting 2 dice from my understanding because I'm lying about them.
Yeah.
5 and a 3.
Yeah. So did anything bad?
Plus one on both of those for my last roll.
Right. So then it's a 6 and a 4.
Nice. It's a victory and something good.
My lie paid off, and they're just trying to help. They're moving the wheelbarrow where we need it to go.
Do you want to jump in again, Clint?
Yeah. So Marv, this guy, he's so just excited. Like out of all the black pits, he's like, think of like Richard Simmons. He's just like, all right, guys, I think it's time. I think it's time to get motivated. And to get ourselves over to the Archduke. Now let's go, everybody. I take the Vorpal scissors straight out of the dead hands of Jimbo. I take a big old sip. I just love how I smell in the morning. I smell so delicious. In fact, I smell so delicious, I'm gonna give you all a little bit of taste to motivate y'all. And I cut off my fingers to give as like little treats as the to like motivate the hobgoblins to get a little bit faster to where the Archduke is. I don't think that was a warrior thing, so I'm not going to take that, but I do have the scissors, the smelling good, and the headband. I got 4 die. You said +1 to everything?
Yeah.
So that is a 5. That's a victory. And that's all we need, and it doesn't carry over. But I did get a 3, which was a something bad, and then a 4, which was a something good, so those cancel out. And then I had a 6, but victories don't cancel. So they're all just munching and crunching on my little meat digits. The hobgoblins are like, these taste delish. Kind of like a creme brulee of fingers of such. I sure do love a little creme brulee finger. Maybe the Archduke will like some too. I'll just stash one away. So that is the end of that round. Misfortune happens, so whoever goes first, describe what you do, but don't roll yet.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in, and Yunk, who's still down a couple of teeth, we know where Charles Riviera III is, so he, kicks open the door, and he's like, "We's here to sell you tasty mice, and I know tasty mice," and he smiles and shows off what teeth he has left.
All right. Well, you kicked open the wrong door.
Oh, no.
This misfortune was brought to you by Ryan Halter. The goblins stumble into a hidden but unlocked pen of fully intelligent but rabid 3-eyed goats.
Yeah, so I kick open the door confidently and start saying Yunk's spiel to Charles, only to be met with far too many eyes as all the goats turn and look at him. And he smiles, and then the smile kind of drops, and he kind of looks around, and he's like, "Yous isn't hobgoblins? Where's the arch hobgoblin?" They're sentient, but I don't know if they can respond. Do I still get my extra dice from my gourmand and the sharp teeth? Or okay, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm rolling 3. And this had a +1 on everything?
No, because it doesn't carry over
'cause
from
it doesn't
stage to
carry over.
stage.
Okay. Well then, I got 2 4s and a 2. I'm gonna get injured, but something good's gonna happen. For everyone that hasn't entered the goat pen that he kicked his way into, they see one of the goats headbutts him, and they just see his corpse ragdoll and fly out of the open door and land in a heap outside of the goat pen. But now you know that we're headed the wrong way, so, +1 on the next roll.
So how many goats are left? Are we still dealing with the goats?
No.
The goats are dead.
I don't know if the goats are dead, but we're just leaving the goats, is
The
what it
goats
sounded like.
Yeah, nobody else
are-
has to go in there.
All right. I'm not quite dead, but Marv comes up. And he's like, "Oh, those cute little goats. Oh, I bet they know where the Archduke is. Oh, come on, guys. We can do this. Let's just put a little umph into it." He's trying to use his headband motivation, delicious smelling. The goats just follow him. Just eyeball right here. And he's going to try to ride on one of the goats, hoping that wherever they're going will be in the direction of the Archduke, their master. So that's delicious. I think I only get 3. Ooh. All right. So that is a 2, which is now a 3 and a 3, which that becomes a bad thing, and then I have a 3, which is a 4. So 2 bad things cancel out a good thing. So something bad happens. I don't get hurt, but nothing good comes out of it. And what happens is the goats go in the wrong direction. Instead of leading us to where the Archduke is, it takes us outside of the Grey Wards and puts us in a big pit of filth. The goats I'm just like, "Oh, this wasn't what I had in mind." And all the hobgoblins are just like, and they're just eating their creme brulee fingers of my own doing.
So Hops shows up, and he just bends down, picks up the pool ball out of poor Malt's hands, who's died, and he's just like, "Bros, chill. Don't we all just want to enjoy ourselves and get rid of these freaky mice? I mean, sell these freaky mice? If you think I'm having a good time, wait until you try some of these mice." And he goes through the door where the goats were, and is just meandering. He just meanders aimlessly. So he's just going to have 2 dice because he's just holding the relic and living his life. And it's 2 3s, both of which will be downgraded to 2s. And poor Hops is going to walk into that room and there's just a giant hole in the floor. And he just goes, "All right, guys." Go on.
Unless you want to use that lucky ear.
Oh, lucky ear. On the way, thank you. And on his way down, he plucks his ear off and he throws it up. He's like, "I'm not that dumb, bro." So we get a 4 and a 1, which gets downgraded to a 3 and an instant death.
Oh.
And so something bad's happening to the next person too. And he goes, "Oh, shit."
Oh, man. I always forget the roll.
Thanks for the lucky ear roll. I forget that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry it didn't work out.
So, Robert.
So where are we currently located?
We are in the filth.
We're in the filth, right?
We're in the filth right outside
I'm gonna try and be friendly, but lie to the goats to lead us in the correct direction to there. I'm just gonna lie and tell them we got carrots underneath these mice. We'll give them to you after we sell the mice.
That's a believable lie. That's very believable.
I'm also making friends with animals, so that would be an extra die.
Look at you.
I know. So it's 3 dice. Oh man, do I have a disadvantage on this?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, -1.
Oh shoot.
You also have a lucky ear.
I will use the lucky ear. Okay, I got a 4 and 2 2s with using the lash.
So you're dead with another disadvantage.
Yep.
Ankle, he can barely walk, so he kind of trips in the filth, and then the ghosts, they just trample him to death.
Back up to the top of the round. We still haven't made any progress on stage 3.
So Toof, I'm going to jump in. Toof comes running in, picks up the chewy rat on a rope, and says, "I've had enough of this. Take us to the hobgoblin recorder." And he starts biting goats and beating them with the rat on the stick. And he's like, "Get out of here!" I'm going to roll 4. Okay, pretty good roll. He's just laying into these goats. One of them kicks him, but then they all kind of run off, kind of back towards the Grey Wars.
All right. Help me out. My brain went out. Victories.
So that's 1 victory, 2 good things, which becomes 1 good thing, and an injury.
So is there an advantage or a disadvantage here, you said?
You'll get a +1.
+1, okay. Yeast shows up carrying the 8-ball in a sock. Who knows how he got it? The guy fell to the floor. Nobody knows. And Yeast just says, "Yip, yippity, yip, 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 yippity, yip, 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 yip." That's 3 rolls. All right, I got 2 4s, which both increases to 5s. So we got 2 victories and a 3 that increases to a 4 for the next guy. What Yip was saying in his Yippish was, "I'm going to take this ball here and I'm going to go talk to, I'm going to go back into the building. I'm going to find this Charles Riviera for real this time, start making some real offers." So he goes in with the ball in the sock, shows him the rats, just goes, "Yip, yip, yip." And it just, immediately, Charles Riviera is just like taken aback, and he just looks at him and he goes, "Oh my, oh my." And this is where we leave it open for the next.
All right. So Marv, very glad to be out of the slime, climbs in and climbs out of the slime, rides with the goats back in, is right next to Yip, also speaks Yippish.
Yeast. He speaks Yip, but his name's Yeast. It's all right.
Oh, yeah,
it's a mistake
sorry.
a lot of people
Yeast.
make, but he's okay with that. He speaks Yip, so nobody understands. But if you got like the Yip.
Did you base that off of those Sesame Street Muppets? You know the Sesame Street Muppets that are like aliens and they just like, yip, 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 yip?
Nope, I just flipped a coin and I said he was going to be silent, except he's going to make a sound, and the sound I thought of was Yip.
Oh my gosh. You would know exactly what Muppets I'm talking about.
I do know what Muppets you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so Marv is just like, Archduke, not only do we have the best mice, our mice are super motivated. Let me show you my cool moves that allows me to do all of this. So totally eats, or doesn't eat, but smells delicious. So the aroma kind of distracts the Archduke from what yeast, he's like, "Oh my," but then he's like, "Oh my," kind of like a William Shatner feel going on. And he's swinging the Vorpal swords. He's smelling delicious. He's using his warrior skills to really twirl that blade like a Jedi. I'm going to give this guy 4. We'll see if we can knock this out once and for all. Boom, baby. Does anything advantage, disadvantage?
We were advantage. You get 1 + 1 on the last one.
Oh, yeah. So I had a 6, which is a 7, and that's 2 victories.
Yep, it's over.
I have a 2, which kills Marv.
No, is it a 1 or a 2?
A 1. Oh, wait, a 1. That's an add, so it's a 2. But I already had 1 hit, so he's dead. And then I had a 6, which would be another, or 5 that's a 6, that's another victory, but we're already done. And then a 3, which becomes a 4, so a good thing. But that doesn't carry over because we're done with this stage. I'm swinging around, and the Archduke is hobgoblins aren't huge, but they're much bigger than me. And because he's the arch hobgoblin and also a food procurer and smells how delicious I am, he just kind of wraps his hand around me, and he's just like, "Oh my." takes a big old bite right out of Marv's head, and that's the end of Marv. But he's just like, this is a deal. If these mice taste half as good as that goblin did, we're gonna have some very happy hobgoblins here in the Grey Wards. Congratulations, you convinced me. And we are now on to stage number 2.
I'm gonna go into like the center area where a lot of people are, and I'm gonna just shout and yell and lie about these good old mice. Tell them how they'll make you strong. And some of my goblins are juggling the mice to show that they're stronger than they normally are because they're juggling so many mice and making it a distraction, trying to get people to grab their mice before they go to their room. So I'm gonna roll 3. Did I get any advantage or disadvantage?
No, because it doesn't carry over.
Oh, that's right.
Fresh start.
I rolled a 1 and a 3 and a 4, which should cancel out, right?
Yep. So you just injured, and we're moving on.
As Killy was juggling, they weren't watching where they were walking, so they were trying to walk and juggle at the same time, and accidentally just walked into the wall.
Some good slapstick comedy. My next goblin's name is Harry, and he's very hairy. In order to help distribute and give all of these goblins what they need, he uses the Vorpal nail scissors or sword and slices off strands of his super long hair and is able to like take a mouse and like whip it over to like the people that it's supposed to go to, and goblins are just catching it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Oh, well, they're not eating it yet. Sorry. I'm just giving myself the rest of the game. I just won. So that would be, he's hairy. He's delicious smelling. That doesn't have anything to do with it. I think I just get 2. Here we go. Yeah, so that is a 6, which is a victory, and then a 3. And the 3 is a bad thing. So I'm able to keep swinging them out, but unfortunately I run out of hair. And now we need to find another way to keep distributing these mice. We're not quite there yet. I'll pass.
Well, Toof is running around with mice in his hands, trying to shove them into the hands of any nearby hobgoblins, and says, "You trust I Vittles. Vittles knows good food, see?" And he points at his teeth, and then he's just handing out mice. You eat at snack time. You eat. And so I'm gonna roll 4 there, and I know I've got the -1. I dropped a die. Okay, that wasn't great. So he's gonna turn in his lucky ear on this. We're gonna try that again. Yep, just pop that sucker right off. Much better. Okay, so I got a 6 that became a 5, so that's a victory. I got a 5 that became a 4, so that's a good thing. I got a 3 that became a 2, which is an injury, and a 2 that became a 1, which is an injury. We're going to get a victory. We're going to get something good, and Toof rips off his ear to better sell this, and then he bleeds out halfway through handing out mice. And just drops to the ground.
It's a valiant effort.
All right, so we got the 2 victories. We're still distributing mice, right? So Yeast just takes a look around, notices there's like a little bar area in this corner of this, like, because this is just a giant apartment complex kind of thing. So Yeast is looking around and he sees in the Grey Ward this like little like bar area where some hobgoblins are like drinking and enjoying like a little break from their accounting and all their smart goblin-y things that they do. Yeast just walks over, sits down, takes out his pool ball with a sock, smacks it against the head of one of the hobgoblins, falls over. He grabs the drink, slams it, puts it down, and just yells at the top of his lungs, "Yep!" I just accomplished a 5 dice roll. I just want you to know by doing that. I won't do that often, I promise. Yips the smartest one of the bunch. I just want you to know. All right, so here we go. And I heard I get advantage, right, Jonathan?
That's right.
All right. Ooh, this is going to be very nice. But I'd have to re-roll the whole thing I got two hits. I've got a 6, 2 4s, and 2 1s. If he rips his ear, he has to re-roll the whole thing, right?
Right.
You know, it might be worth it. I'm going to do it. He's going to rip his ear. So I just re-rolled. He ripped his lucky ear off. He tossed it. I got a 6, which becomes a 7. That benefits it out. And then I got 1 hit. The second he hits that guy, and he falls over dead, and he goes, yep. All the hobgoblins get it. They all immediately run to the wheelbarrow, and they all start grabbing them and distributing them amongst themselves. But the inflamed lover of the deceased pool head person comes over, and she just goes, you bitch. And she like smacks the pool cue against his head, and Yip just goes, yep. And he points at her, and she runs over and grabs a mouse.
I imagine Jawas like passing out all.
Yep.
So we are on to stage 2, top of the round, anybody's game. But this is where the misfortune happens. So first,
come on,
person that
Robert,
goes
get into that
to
misfortune. Walk into that giant cluster. Do it, Robert.
I'm just gonna wait. I was like, we have a bell. Wait till we ring the bell, and then eat them.
Well, do we have a bell, or are we gonna go find a bell?
We apparently have a bell now.
Well,
It's canon. Oh yeah, I like that. We lied that we had a bell.
There it is.
Yeah,
Maybe it is a lie.
Yeah, it is a lie. I'm lying that we have a bell right now. And that's when they're going to taste the absolute best, is when we ring the bell. Because we have them prime. And so as soon as we ring the bell, that's when they're the best to eat, when they'll be the best.
Clint, what's the misfortune before he rolls?
Yeah, so the misfortune, brought to you by Jonathan Iceman. An adventuring party, cleric, wizard, fighter, rogue, you know the deal, kicks in the door, or in this case, storms the party, and attacks everyone in sight. Those monsters. So basically, you're getting ambushed by a typical D&D adventuring party.
Oh, interesting. So does that change my role?
No, it's just explaining why it's so difficult.
I rolled a 6 and a 3.
All right, so that is a victory and a bad thing.
They're all like, the hobgoblins are all like nodding their head, yes, yes, yes. But like some of them are getting killed as they're just nodding their heads, yes, because the party's just coming in, killing everything. Like they have their mouse in their hand, but they all of a sudden their head gets sliced right off, just like in Lord of the Rings, and arrow gets shot in the eye. Yeah,
This is not looking good. Whoever goes next has a -1 to their rolls.
I'll jump in on this. Gob shows up and says, "You not get in my way! I'm selling tasty food!" And then just starts attacking the party. And he's beating them with the rat on the stick, and he's blading them, and he's punching them, and he's just really getting into this whole mess. Okay, and it was a -1 on all of them?
Yep.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy. I think I'm going to do the lucky year.
All right, do it.
The lucky year. Okay, better. So I got 2 6s, which both became 5s, which were victories.
Excellent.
I got a 5, which became a 4, which is something good.
Yep.
And I got 3 1s that all turned into 0s, and Gob goes down in the fighting.
Oh boy.
God,
One victory,
No, 2
something
victories.
good.
Sorry, 2 victories.
2 victories.
One something good, and Gob is absolutely destroyed in the fighting. The party just immediately turns and just rips him to shreds.
Harry's going to hop in here. Not so hairy anymore after using all of his hair to distribute most of the the mice. He's scared, but he also is a warrior at heart. And so he takes his Vorpal nail scissors. He hides behind one of the piles of dead that is starting to pile up from this warring party. And he's going to try to throw the scissors into the neck of the cleric. So that is a 1 for normal, Vorpal scissors, and then hiding. So that's 3. Uh-oh. That's something bad or something good?
Was something good last time.
All right, so that is 2 4s, which is 3 4s. So something good will happen. I I throw the scissors, and the cleric steps out, but bumps every one of the other adventuring party prone, to use a D&D term. So they're all like laying down on the ground, vulnerable and ready to be slaughtered. With that, I'll pass.
All right, so I've got the entire adventure party is prone. Yeast just walks in, stands over the barbarian, goes to the barbarian, just stands right over him. Just goes, yep, 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 yep. At this point, takes out his trusty pool ball and socket, and is just going to like clunk him on the head. The idea was he just gave an ancient goblinish magical spell that would make the barbarian turn on this party, kill the people in the party, and then run away from the goblins forever. If he can connect with the pool ball on the head. If he misses, it's a whole other story. We're going to see what happens. So that means making loud noises, pool ball. It's going to go with 3 of them. And I'm at a disadvantage or an advantage, Clint?
Something good.
Good. All right. Okay. So I got a 2, a 1, and a 5. The 5 is a success. It goes up to a 6. The 2 becomes a 3. That's going to be something bad for somebody next. And then the 1. So you got my guy Yeast, and he's starting to come down with it like this, but he hits it so hard on the guy's head, the barbarian's head, that it bonks on his head and then comes back and hits him and all of a sudden Yeast just falls over dead. But the barbarian spell works. He gets up, he slaughters the entire crew, and he goes running out of the building just
Makes me think of Dave the Barbarian. That was like a show on Disney Channel back in the day.
We have one more to keep them from eating, right? And we're back to the top of the order, so it's anybody's call. And we're at a disadvantage, whoever takes that call. All right, so Water walks in. He just goes, you see, the problem here is you fail to realize that if you guys, hobgoblins, eat the mice beforehand, the same spell that destroyed the adventurers is that it's going to actually counteract on you. So you see, you have to wait until you hear the bell ring. And if you don't hear the bell ring, then, things happen. And that's good. Nobody listens to him, so he just rambles and rambles. He keeps rambling on, and people are like, oh, what's going on? Okay. So it's 2 dice, diplomatic, and mine 1 dice. All right, here we go. All right.
It was negative 2, so you go down 1.
Yep. So I got a 4 and a 1. That means I'm gonna rip the ear. Yep. Go for gold. Hey, that's not bad. A 5 down to a 4 means something good's going to happen to our next guy, and a 3 down to a 2 means I get 1 hit point. So you got something good. Whoever goes next.
I'll go. So Harry, still completely uninjured and very good-natured, hiding, sees that the barbarian ran away after killing everybody. He can come out now, and all the hobgoblins, aren't listening to the oration of. Is it Water? Did
Water.
You say his name was
Water.
Yeah.
It's the 4 parts of the Reinskabot. That's what my character names were.
What were they?
The 4 parts of the Reinskabot, the German beer purity law: hops, malts, yeast, water.
Harry decides that he can convince them not to eat the mice by sacrificing himself because he smells so delicious. And so he just lays himself on an altar and takes a torch, because somehow we have a torch, and he just lights himself on fire and cooks himself. And the hobgoblins are, oh yes, these are very tasty, even better than the creme brulee, and just the right number of burns on the tips. And they are going to try to eat him, and that is a warrior's death if I've ever seen it. So that's going to be another dice right there. And yeah, that's all I got. 3. Oh, boom, baby. Is something good happening? Is that what somebody said?
Yep.
Yeah,
think
so
so,
that's
yeah.
a 6 and a 5. So that's our last 2 that we need. And then we also have a 4, so something good, but it doesn't carry over. Dang it. Yeah, so they're well fed, but they're ready for those mice when they hear the bell. Now we got to get paid.
Now we have to go get paid.
Got to get paid. How are we going to get paid, Robert? We're at the top of the order.
All right. I go back to what's his the Arch
Charles
Riviera.
Riviera the Third.
What's his name? Charles Riviera, right?
Charles Riviera the Third.
Yeah. I go and I wave, looking very lustrous with my blonde hair as I like. See, we delivered. We did our part of the bargain. We given out all of the mice. All the mice have been distributed. Now, once the dinner, we'll ring the dinner bell as soon as we get paid. We won't ring it no time sooner.
How many dice is that, Robert?
Incorporating the blonde hair. So I think just 2. I'm gonna say just 2. Ugh.
That sounds great.
It does. Did something bad happen?
No.
I think it was something good happens.
Something good.
Something good?
That doesn't carry over though, right?
Oh yeah, so it's no additional anything.
All right, I'm going to rip off the left ear. All right, 5 and 3. Something
Nice.
bad happens, but something good happens. We got 1 success. As some of my hair is falling out as I'm trying to look all wavy with it.
Oh, that was the bad thing?
Yeah, that's the bad thing. That's all I got for you.
A little less luscious.
Yeah, I can jump in here. So this is when Poke shows up, and Poke, of course, with his one eye, saunters in, picks up the rat on a rope, and kind of slings the rat over his shoulder and saunters over to Charles, and gives him a wink with the missing eye. So it's like, and he's like, "You pay us now, and then we go and ring the bell, and your hobgoblins eat. Good deal." So it's the eye and the rat and +1, or the 1 die, and this is at a -1 from last time.
Yep.
Okay.
Because one of our goblins is hairless.
Fair. But I'm gonna stick with this because it was pretty good. So I got a 6 that becomes a 5, which is a victory. I got a 5 that becomes a 4, which is something good. And in the process, the 2 that becomes a 1. So when he slings the rat over his shoulder, he swings it a little too hard and he knocks himself down and he like bonks his head on Charles's desk. But then he gets back up and dusts himself off.
I imagine, like, you know, the guy who's trying to be super smooth when he's talking to a girl and he like leans on it and then like falls over.
Yep, exactly.
I'm really liking Jonathan's Goblins clan so far, though. Their language, their usage, their grammar, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Thanks.
Okay.
It's classic goblin.
So Water is still carrying on. He has no idea. He has no idea that things have progressed. He's still talking. And if you eat the mice, then you see what's going to happen is and as he's talking, people just start bringing him beers just to like get him to shut up. They just start bringing him drinks, and he's just, okay, I'll drink this. He starts drinking. He starts drinking. And he starts drinking. He starts drinking. And all of a sudden, from the corner, Charles yells out, "If you don't stop drinking those beers, you're not going to get paid any money. You're drinking us out of house and home over here." So he steps up. We got a couple rolls here. It's 3 for the diplomacy because he doesn't stop talking. He's drinking now, not drinking anybody. All right, and you just say, I believe it was a increase here. Something good, right? All right. I got a 5 that becomes a 6. That's a success. I got a 4 that becomes a 5. That's a success. And a 3 that becomes a 4, but it doesn't matter. We're moving on to the next level. He looks over at Charles, completely oblivious to what's going on before him, and he just goes, yeah, we're getting paid. You guys aren't eating the mice, right? We're going to ring the bell first, right? You guys are all on this, yes? Yes? Okay. Then he just keeps talking and just keeps meandering through this conversation with himself, and everybody's kind of zones out from him. Camera pans away.
All right. Task number 3. And I didn't add the final misfortune. It happens on the very end, is what we rolled, and that was rolled by Robert Caesar, so you'll figure out what that is when we get to there. We're going to stash the wheelbarrow. Harry, who's still going strong, I don't know how this goblin... Oh, no, he sacrificed himself. So now we're at Kevin. Kevin comes up, and he's got all these weird piercings on his body, right? He's got nipple rings, he's got ear rings, he's got eyebrow rings, he's got nose rings, he's got... Who knows what else is going on. Hopefully we never have to find out. But he takes the Vorpal nail scissors, and he's just like,
I know exactly where I'm going to place this wheelbarrow. I'm going to put it in my
what do you call a place where people get pierced? Is it like a tattoo parlor?
Also, is the money in the wheelbarrow?
I hope not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be great. The money's in the wheelbarrow, and I'm going to accidentally stash it away.
Okay.
Are you talking about a pierceatorium?
Is that what you call a place that you
just
get
made
pierced?
that up on the spot, but it sounds really cool.
It does sound cool.
I'm gonna go stash the wheelbarrow at my pierceatorius place at the pierceatorium, which happens to be near the filth pile. We keep coming back here for some reason. So that is strange piercings. I'm hiding something, so that's another one. And then I have my original one, and I don't really use the nail scissors for anything, so I'll do 3. All right. So that's a 5, which is a victory. We have a 4, which is a something good, and then I take an injury. I start moving, but one of my piercings gets caught on the wheelbarrow as I try to push it along, and it just... Or more appropriately, it should be, since it's Kevin from Home Alone. Goes the nipple piercing. But we're one step closer to stashing that bad boy. And I passed.
So we're trying to hide it at the pierceatorium? Yeah, my guy, as he was he grabbed a stone to try and break it. It didn't work, and so he got so frustrated that Keely hit his foot really hard with the stone because he threw it on the ground, but instead he hit his foot and he tripped and fell. His head hit a bunch of other stones, killing him. So no success or anything. Oh, I just rolled all ones.
Oh, jeez.
You just literally smoked your guy into oblivion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so there's no disadvantages, though. This is a clear board.
Yeah. It's just
it's
all. Yeah.
Sounds like a great opportunity for Water to step in. Unless, Jonathan, you want to, you do it.
Well, I thought this would be a great time for Poke to jump in
Yes.
and be like,
Go get him, Poke.
I likes the way you think. And as he points at the dead body and is like, you talking good. Let's do this. And he jumps on the wagon and bites into it. He's trying to rip it apart with his hands and his teeth. So I'm going to go ahead and roll. And that's the quirk and expertise. So we're going to be rolling 3 dice on this. That's just a flat 3. I'm going to re-roll that with his lucky ear. He rips it off and tries to pull even harder. Okay, so that's a 6. So 1 success, a 4, which is something good, and a 1. And so he's violently shaking as he's trying to rip this apart, and a plank comes loose, and he falls directly next to Killy and smacks his head on the same rock. And now the two of them are dead right next to each other.
What you goblins fail to realize is physics, and physics is key to ripping a wheelbarrow apart. You see, in order to rip a wheelbarrow apart, you have to be able to use leverage and levers. You don't attack it like a wild animal and try to bite it into pieces. Instead, what you want to do is make sure that, and on and on. At this point, I'm going to roll my diplomacy. Diplomacy, and he's also got the pool ball in order to start whacking at it. He's going to show you how to whack this thing apart. So he's got 4 for this one.
And we do have something good happen. So
Yep. All right. Let's go something good. This is good. Okay. So it's a 6. So it's an automatic 7. I got 2 victories. I got a 4, which becomes a 5 for another victory. And then a couple of 2s. And so literally he's going to go, you see, you got to wind up. And he goes and he flings it. And instead of like the ball hitting any wooden part, it like wraps around and just does the whole whiplash thing again. And he just falls dead right next to the other 2.
What's the noise the Three Stooges always make when they hit each other? That's it. We're going to say that we finally got to my Pierceatorius location. His name is Laws. And Laws has always done his piercing near the field pit. And Lars sees Kevin coming up, and Kevin's just like, hey, Lars, can you hide us as you take your piercings over to the... I know those wizards are real wild folk, and they have piercings all over, and you do monthly pilgrimages to the Black Tower to give them their piercings. Maybe you could help us hitch a ride in your pierce wagon, and we'll be able to take a ride in your pierce wagon over to the Goblin Mud Pits. Can you help us out, Lars? And Lars is more than willing to oblige if I roll really well, because I also smell great. And he can't resist my beautiful aroma. Fortunately, that's still only 3. But I am a returning customer with piercing, so I'll say that's 4. All right, so that is 2 victories, a bad thing, and a bad thing. So he is convinced to take us. But we are stopped on the road by a blockade of orcs who are doing, what do you call those checks that police do? Like, where they stop you on the road?
Random stop tests?
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what those are called.
Clint, whatever you say, I'm just repackaging it. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're called just a police stop or something like that.
A random stop test.
Yeah.
There's a random orc stop test that stops our super pimped out ride.
Twigs steps up to the orcs who look all official in their policeman gear and stopping stuff. And he slings his pool ball over his shoulder and he just looks at him and goes, dang old man, goddamn dang old stops and goes, and man, there's the things where you can't even stop the kids, man. The kids doing things with the stuff and hiding the stuff in the cars. I don't understand, man. Dang old things with getting those dead rats, feeding them to people. They can go kill people, man. I tell you what, it's a crazy world we live in there. You can some good old boys, man. So he's just chatting up the police officers, hoping for something good. That's only 3. All right. We got a 6, which becomes a 5, which is a success. A 5, which becomes a 4, which is a good thing. And a 4, which becomes a 3, which is a bad thing. Those cancel out. So we have a success and a cancellation.
Well, so 1-to-1 cancels into a good thing.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And so he's sitting up there and talking to these orcs, and these orcs all of a sudden they get distracted by him, and they all start, this old country good old boys club thing where they're all just complaining about life and like things that aren't going on. So these orcs get completely distracted.
I'm gonna lie. One of my goblins gonna pretend to be pregnant, saying, "We really need to move. We really need to get through and get to the mud pits. It's very important. Very, very important. Look, she's having a baby in the See, we need to get there to the birthing chamber.
Orcs aren't very smart, so they may not remember. That's not how goblins are born.
And yet goblins are, remember, asexual. They're genderless, so it's the darndest thing.
I got a 6, a 5, and a 2.
All right, the 6 is a 7, and the 5
is a 1 is a victory.
6.
Yeah, so we just blew through that one. You convinced. We're back to the goblin mud pits. How does that look, Robert?
They drove us super fast, but as they were driving, one of my goblins, their foot got stuck in the wheel, so they took a little injury as it was driving away.
So Pip, we roll back to the mud pits, and it's time, and you see Pip, his two little misshapen eyes, one big, one little. Pip pops his head out of the wagon, and he pops up, and he's like, "It's bell time! It's bell time!" And he takes the rat on a rope, and he starts swinging it at the bell, trying to ring the bell to get all the hobgoblins to eat the poisoned mice.
Before you roll.
Yes, we've got something, a misfortune.
The misfortune.
Happening.
So as you're swinging, and it's like you're like a waving tentacle.
Yeah.
And out of the ground, and this is brought to you by Robert Caesar, Misfortune of Stage 3, Task 3. Tentacles with acidic suckers lash up from the ground all around you. Some HP Lovecraftian terror has just joined the party, and they're about to crash it.
Okay. Well, then that works out pretty well. So I got 2 5s. So he's starting to hit the bell with the rat. And then the tentacles pop up, and he drops the rat and runs. And I got a 3. Something bad happened.
Did we get the bell?
So not all the way, right? We got to get, I think, 7 difficulties to like ring the bell loud enough.
Yeah, so we need to hit it 5 more times.
All right, dang old man, boy, running away from a guy with a tentacle, man. They're coming out of the ground, man. Who cares, man? We got scared of a little squid, man. I eat squid all day. Calamari, it's delicious. Get it at the restaurant, man. Good old stuff, man. You deep fry that stuff, put it in some sauce. Man, I can eat that stuff all day. And he just takes his pool ball in the sock of destiny, just like, and he's gonna throw it at the bell so he can try to like get like that like Super Mario like bouncing back and forth thing. Let's just hope. I'm just gonna say it's 3. No advantage on this or anything. Disadvantage. Got it. Okay. Here it is. I like it. I'm gonna stick with it. 2 6s and a 1. So here's how it's gonna go down.
Oh boy.
Takes it, flings that thing, and it just goes as the thing like grabs him. The tentacles come around, like poison suck his face, start ripping his face apart, and he's like, "Yo, man, I got no regrets, man. I did this thing." And that's the last of the keg killers. All the keg killers have been killed.
All you guys are dead?
My guys are all dead.
So FYI, you're not going to get a chance to do this, but just for anybody listening, if all your goblins die, you then get to take on the role of a friendly NPC.
Okay.
And you get to make this NPC up at the beginning of the next stage or the next round.
Got it.
Stage. I don't know if we're going to last that long, but there's different mechanics there. They can go and listen to the previous episode about playing the game. Go for it, Robert. Tentacles everywhere.
Cool. I'm going to take my crossbow and try and aim for the bell, trying to ring it through the tentacle. 2 6s. I shot the crossbow and went through 2 tentacles and then hit the bell.
And
Right.
Kevin.
Clint, bring us home.
Yeah, Kevin breaking out of the Pierce wagon decides that he doesn't need his piercings anymore. He's free now. And so he rips off, ding, and using like Ninja Star Warrior throwing is going to try to hit the bell multiple times with his ripped off piercings.
Every time his piercings rip off, man, does it smell even more delicious? Because it's just like ripping off more. It's just, ooh, that's fresh goblin.
Right.
And you know what? I even threw the Vopal nail scissors while I was
there
at
you
it.
go.
So that's 5. Here we go. Ooh.
Don't forget your lucky year.
Oh yeah,
Throw that while you're at it.
Yeah, it rips the year off, throws that too.
there we go. So that's a victory. Something good doesn't really matter. Something good, something bad, which turns into something good for sure. All right.
But we got it.
We did it.
Yeah, ding, 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 and then all the hobgoblins are like fall over like a Sicilian when death is on the line. The last part would be an epilogue where we just pick one of the other people. Like everybody takes a goblin of somebody else and says what legend is told about them in the weeks to come. I'm gonna take Yeast, the Yipper.
Yep.
The goblin shaman who's telling the story over at the pits. He's just like, Yeast would yip, and he would yip, and he would yip. Translation, he would kick ass. And that's what they said about him for weeks and weeks and weeks. Pass.
So in another fire pit, there's another shaman, and he stirs up the pit, and he says, "You think you know how to make a deal? No one can make a deal like Poke. The man was born to sell. His name was Vittles because he was made delicious meals, but no one could stop him. No one except himself. Remember that, young people. Remember that."
And at a different campfire, another shaman is telling a story about Red Eye, the crack shot of all goblins, who fired his crossbow not through one, but through 2 tentacles and rang the bell at the moment that it was needed.
Oh yeah, Jimbo, the slayer of jackasses, how he slayed that donkey and used all of its parts for multiple uses.
He took it to that donkey.
That's right. But they don't say donkey, they always say jackasses, so it's always the slayer of jackasses.
He took it at that jackass.
When it says means of death, I put hung by innards, which is just completely disgusting and awful.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for playing, everybody. This was a lot of fun.
Everybody, like and subscribe to Clint's amazing podcast. This is so much fun. We wouldn't be doing it unless he was doing this. So listen to all the episodes. Enjoy it. It was so much fun to play.
Yep.
And try the game. It was so fun.
Yeah, so much fun.
Try and play it again.
Join us next time where we will continue our quest, claiming Goblin Quest. We'll get to delve into the thoughts of a mystery guest, a guest who you heard play Goblin Quest the RPG in today's episode. If you liked what you heard today and want to claim your own copy of Goblin Quest the RPG, go ahead and click on the link in the show notes to either get a physical copy of the book or a PDF version for digital use at your own gaming table. You won't regret it. Your goblins will as they meet their untimely demise, but you won't. And until the next time we make our claim to game, one game at a time.